Africa opens its doors this week with more than 300 stores and restaurants taking space in what's billed as the region's largest single-phase shopping centre development to date.
Well, the R5 billion development has been developed by Atterbury, and CEO Loius of Watt joins us in studio now. Louis, thanks very much for coming in. So the largest single-phase shopping centre, but you're going to be looking at more phases in the future to add on to this, aren't you?
Yeah, I think the nice part of this is that we can design it for the future as well. So without any effect on the trading, in future we can add about 30,000 square meters to the mall. And we've planned for that. We've done everything that it will be with minimum effect on the mall in future.
So what timeline are we looking at for that additional capacity to come online, and how dependent is it on the demand that the market actually brings your way?
You know, when we started, the demand was there for 130,000. The demand is already for more. You know, if we knew what we knew in the beginning, I think we would have started bigger. But I think, to be fair to all the people trading there, I think we will, my gut feels, sort of 3 to 5 years from now, we would do the extension. We would add, I would say, approximately 30,000 square meters.
I mean, you talk about the demand at the moment, and of course the centre is fully let. But we are in a very tough period economically, and you started building this 3 years ago. You bought the land 7 years ago, so it's very difficult to time those swings in the economy, and yet you have fully let the centre.
Yeah, I think if you take the area around there is a huge area without any retail. You know, if you take Sandton, Four Ways, Centurion, there's about 100,000 households living in between that haven't got a mall directly there, and that is where we primarily aim it at. But then secondly, it's a true regional mall. So you will attract people from the whole region, from Pretoria, from the East Rand, from the West Rand. I think what makes that site so good is the highways. You know, you can easily get there from almost anywhere. And I think that's the attractiveness, and that justifies the size of the mall.
Talk us through then the tenant mix and how tenuous lease negotiations have been, or is the appeal of space allowing you to actually rake in premiums from your tenants?
No, I wouldn't say we're getting premium rentals at the moment. I mean, for that we wait 5 years when we do our first escalation. But I think it's the first major mall that have been completed sort of after the 2007-2008 crisis. You know, there's not a mall of this size that have been built. And what we found is that there's a lot of overseas people who sort of look at this as a stepping stone into Africa and into South Africa. So there's quite a number of new tenants, overseas tenants that will open in this mall sort of for the first time.
You mentioned those. We have like Zara Home, we have Under Armour, Women's Secret. You also have the biggest cotton on store on the planet, which is opening up there. And some of the commentary I read was it's nice that they can actually come in and get the size of store that they want rather than retrofitting into existing space.
I think that's exactly the point. Even if you look at H&M, you know, they're currently trying to get into the bigger shopping centres, but you have to wait for a space to open up or move around and work around certain constraints. This is the first time that we can plan for everything. You know, we sat with all those guys. They want to say, what's your ideal store? What's the size? What's the shape? And we can plan that. And that's what makes it so convenient. And I think, therefore, I mean, it's going to be a different experience. If you go to that mall, you know, everything is planned from day one. And that's what makes it so attractive.
Are you surprised at, the kind of resilience the South African consumer is showing right now in the current economy? And how worried are you about sustainability of that resilience moving forward?
I think you have to look at the specific area. You know, if we build this mall, let's say in a rural area, I would have been more concerned. But if you take the Gauteng economy, you know, and where we are and exactly the location of the mall, there is a lot happening. You know, so if you take South Africa as a whole, I think there's almost two different worlds. You know, we're busy in Eastern Europe at the moment, and I see the same there. You look at the statistics of, let's call it Serbia, for instance, and you look at the GDP, and it seems to be low. Then you go to Belgrade, and you realize, but it's a complete different world, Belgrade, to the rest of Serbia. I always feel in South Africa, you've got the same isolated pockets, you know, whether it's the Western Cape or Gauteng. I think the economy there is not in the same state that it is for the rest of South Africa. And I feel that the place where we've put this mall, you know, where it's situated, is in almost the fastest growing, the biggest economy in Africa. And that is what that specific location justify the mall. So are we concerned? I don't think so, not in that area. If we've built that mall in Bloemfontein, I would have been more concerned.
You also have quite a nice mix of tenants between the international brands you've mentioned, but some of the standard household brands that we have in South Africa, such as your anchor tenants, so Checkers, Edgar's, Game, Woolworths, and the likes. So are you appealing to all classes in the area, do you think?
You have to. I mean, if you look at the area there, you get houses in that immediate area that sells for 40, 50 million rand, and you get houses that's 200,000, 300,000, and that mall must cater for everyone. And we've tried to accommodate that in the design. So we've got an area which we call the Crystal Court, where champagne bar is. We've got these upmarket luxury brands, but you also got the brands for the local, let's call it the local people, the more affordable brands. And that mall caters for the whole spectrum.
And what's that called? That's not the Crystal Court.
There's 4 courts. I mean, we try to do Africa. There's the Lakes Court, and there's the Sand Court, and the Oleum Court, and it's nice. I mean, you must go there and have a look.
Very quickly, looking at surrounding infrastructure, I mean, are the routes supportive of the kind of demand you're expecting to see trickle through here?
You know what's interesting is if you take the Allendale off-ramp, it's the only off-ramp in South Africa that's not controlled by traffic lights. You can get off the highway, and that's why it's flowing so nicely. If you in the morning drive from Pretoria to Joburg, that's almost the only off-ramp where the flow is very nice. Now, apart from all the upgrades that went into that one, we spent quite a bit on the roads in the area, so we're comfortable that the feeding of the mall, or how the cars will get there is, it's been thought through, and I think obviously the first couple of days I think it's going to be chaos, but I think over the time, I mean, it will, once it normalized, I think it's a mall that's very accessible and there won't be any problems with that.
There have been some comments and articles out this week suggesting that this could tip the retail sector into oversupply. Any concern about that there's just not enough demand for the amount of shopping centres we have?
Well, obviously there will be influence on some of the other malls. So I mean, I would lie if I say we will open this mall and you won't see any effect on a Sandton, on a Fourways, on a Centurion, for instance. So I think there will be effect. But as I said again, if you look at the metropole and you look at that specific area, I think there is more demand there, and that is what we try to satisfy with this mall.
Well, let's leave it there, Louis. Thanks so much for having joined us in studio today. Of course, Louis van der Watt is CEO of Atterbury, co-owner and developer of Mall of Africa.